Have you ever had someone say something to you and then what they said or what they did, let's say they weren't somebody that important to you, but like they said something to you, they disrespected you in some way. And then you start to think about the disrespect after, and then you start to tell them off in your head, or you start to argue with them in your head. And then you get really angry. You have a strong reaction to it. You kind of, dwell upon it. If you notice when people provoke you, in any which way, and you allow it to decide your internal world, you'll notice a piece of them in a way has entered you, and now you're starting to become like that. And if you want to break that cycle, because you have to break it or else it's just going to keep growing. That's just what things do in the mind. You have to revise it. This is why revision to me is important. And I think revision works best when it's done either within right after something happens or later on at night. So I can give an example. So I said this the other day in my live stream. I had an experience that happened to me at the grocery store not that long ago. So the way the situation was that this man was looking at the bread section and his wife was behind him. And so I was going to walk between them because it looked like he was spending some time. So I figured I would just go between them. So I went to go with my cart and he turned around really quickly, really fast. And I almost bumped into him because of that. And I apologized. Oh, I'm sorry. He looked at me, got really, really angry. He pointed to the left of me and just kind of yelled go over there. He yelled at me, go over there. He just kind of got loud with me. And I walked past him. And then I started thinking about that whole experience, just like his disrespect, right? Because I apologized. I wasn't trying to hit him or anything. And he just took it that way. And I could tell he was a little bit he seemed like he was just really angry as a person. So I just ignored it in a sense in that moment. But after I started thinking about that experience, and I had a couple reactions in me, a couple of thoughts about it. And then but I didn't do anything about it. And then later that night, it popped up again, randomly just came up, and started thinking more about it, kind of what I would have liked to have said. But then I started thinking, well, he wouldn't be worth it why spend all that time on it? And then the next day, I thought about it again. And so up until this point, I haven't done anything. I'm talking about internally. I haven't done anything with it yet. Now, the whole situation has passed. I don't know this person. It's not that big of a deal. I could just move on. But yeah, it keeps popping up in my mind. And I did nothing with it until the following day. And then what I ended up doing was I just revised it very simply. I just walked past them the way I wanted it to happen. That's what I expected. I didn't change it to the point where it was so, I didn't have him give me some roses and, I didn't have him give me a box of chocolates and some roses. I didn't do anything abstract. I just made it really simple. I just walked past them the way I expected. It made it natural, right? That's what I just would have wanted to happen. And after that, I felt great. Never thought about it again. And I don't quite know what some small act like that would ever yield, some small internal revision. That was so small, right? I'm just walking past somebody. It's so small. And yet it did solve a lot internally. I felt more free because of it. And then I'm not thinking how this will externalize. I'm not thinking about how this will look in the future. I just did it anyways. And that's what I'm trying to say is that you have to do things anyway. Just do it anyway. I repeat this a lot in the recent book is that you don't want to think too much about how things will externalize. You want to start to adjust the internal world. You don't want to leave it like I did. I just forgot, honestly. I just forgot to revise the situation. I could have revised it right then and there and felt fine, but I didn't. I just didn't. I forgot. And it took me about 24 hours later to do something about it internally. But I think it works best when you do it quickly like that. When you if you do it on the spot and revise it. And I noticed that when I revised it, I felt free. How this will come about, all I can say is that if self must express, then a freer part of myself will express. So why did this happen? We can discuss all that stuff. Why did this happen? All that. But really, the important thing is what I'm going to do about it, not necessarily why this happened. And what I did about it is I revised it. And it was a very small revision. Like I said, it wasn't like this complete change in my world. It was just very small, but it was important to me because if it popped up a few times and I did nothing about it, it's almost like I was telling myself to do something about it. And I didn't listen to myself each time. And once I did, everything kind of changed in me. It seems such a small thing, but yet it had a pretty big impact, strangely, on me. And the reason why I bring this up is because you don't want to just use this for very big and grand things as well. You also want to use it for very small things. You know, we have to learn how to imagine and how to start practicing imagination, because it is like a tool. It's not just a reactive thing. It also is creative. It also can create and change things. It's not just meant to look at your world and react out of fear. That's not what it's meant for. There's a creative component to imagination. It's conservative as well as it is creative, and it will be conservative in the ideas that you want to keep. Even if those ideas aren't necessarily good for you, it'll keep them. But it also has this component of taking what is there, like this idea of the grocery store experience that I had, and I can readjust it and change it, or it can create out of nothing. You don't have to start. You can start from scratch. You don't have to have something present in order for you to like grow or change. You can start from absolutely nothing. Just start within your imagination. The best way, Neville said, is by persuasion. It won't work under compulsion. It won't work if I force my imagination to do something. It doesn't work that way. It works by persuasion. So you ask yourself, how would it feel? How would it feel, honestly? How would it feel if I was that way? How would it feel if I was more free than I would like to be? How would it feel if I was as free as the wind, as Neville said? How would it feel? And you truly ask yourself that, and you answer it completely honestly. Don't try to force the answer. Just answer it honestly. Whatever comes up, go with it. And that is going to be persuasive to you, and that will cause you to act differently. It won't work if you're trying to force yourself. It just won't. But yeah, I mean, I just want to give a short example here of like a moment of revision that I probably would have just ignored, because I mean, what's the big deal? You know, some random guy got, aggressive with me at the store. Just move on with my day type of thing. It's not worth all of this, mental activity. But at the same time, it was worth it, because when I did revise, when I did something about it, I didn't just leave it there. I felt more free. And I haven't thought about it since, naturally. So there's this power in revision, but it works better, in my view, if you catch it quickly. If you do it right after something happens. I waited a day. You didn't have to wait a day, but it seems to work better that way. Internally, I'm saying it seems to free you up better if you just do it right on the spot. So don't hesitate or wait. You don't have to wait for circumstances to be perfect, or, for things to adjust a certain way before you imagine a certain way. And that is really the battle between the outer man of the senses and the inner man of imagination. This is really the battle between the two. And if you have practiced imagination enough, you'll know that the outer must follow the inner. That's what we're taught in Scripture. That's what Neville's teaching. And so if you learn to control the inside, by control, I mean if you free it up, adjust and change what you want to adjust and change, you will start to see that adjustment and change within yourself, and then that will express. It's just going to happen. There's no way around it. You have to express the states you're in, whether we like it or not. We are the dreamers, and we have to express what we're dreaming. We dream more than we eat food and drink water. We're always dreaming. If we're not dreaming in the nighttime, we're dreaming in the daytime. What are we dreaming is what's important. You can try to stop dreaming and just fall back into awareness. You can do that. But if you're going to live this life, if you're going to play the game, you're going to have to dream. And all I can say is revise things that happen right away. Change the dream there. Don't wait to change a dream. And you can dream something new into being without anything. I call it imaginal scratch. You can start from imaginal scratch, from nothing. You need nothing outside of you to change something within you. That's the sort of the mystery. You can take the weakest person in the world and assume that they're strong, and they'll start to become that way. And it's just a mystery. I don't try to figure that out anymore. I just assume it anyways. I didn't try to devise, well, it's such a small act to revise this whole grocery store experience. Who cares about it? I didn't do that. I could have. And honestly, I probably would have done that in the past. But you kind of have to take every moment and see it as an opportunity to do something within yourself. That's how you should see it. That will become more, I'm right now, what I'm basically focusing on, I'm just focusing solely on trying to be creative on the inside. Solely be creative. I'm not even trying to externalize anything anymore. I'm just trying to be creative, not reactive. And you start to notice how reactive we can be. At least for me, I noticed it. The question is, am I as creative as I am reactive? Over time, I noticed I wasn't. I was more reactive. And that grocery store opportunity, situation is a great opportunity. I got to see that I was leaving it in a reaction. I left that in a reaction state. I didn't create out of it. I didn't change anything. And then when I did, I felt much better. But yeah, I mean, that's all I had for this. It was just a small story. This happened recently, so I wanted to share it before, years go by and then I bring it up again. But, okay, that's all I have for this one. Yeah, I'm going live tomorrow. I haven't decided if I'm going the morning or afternoon yet, but for the members, I'm going live. And yeah, thank you guys for the support on the book as well. If you are interested in all that stuff, just go to the description. It'll be there. But okay, I'll see you guys in the next one.